So this post was well overdue, but in the past 2, 3 days I had a lot of time to think of the draw, implications of the draw, did a lot of work behind the scenes, and I think I have enough stuff to actually have two or if not three posts on this whole draw implications and so on. But today I want to do the simple one and just see how did the draw affect each individual team's chances, and also we can look at an expected outcome to the tournament. But let's see how do things stand after the draw. Here we have the table now with all the top 24 nations. Already have the groups assigned here, so it makes it easier to read. And as we can see, on the top 6 nations, not much has changed. I mean, they were all top seeds. We already saw the groups were pots were sort of even, so not too many changes expected there, especially since the uh, top 6 teams were really head and shoulders above the rest. But then there's a lot of flip-flopping going around. We see Austria leapfrogged Italy, Switzerland, Croatia, Ukraine, Turkey. So we already see that there have been some favorable draws. Romania made a big jump at the cost of the Czechs and the Swedes, and Ireland and Slovakia flip-flopped places with Wales staying constant. So this is where we stand. Now, of course, you want to know what were the changes, really, because yes, the absolute positions haven't changed, but we know, for instance, Spain probably got a pretty tough draw, so they must have lost something. And we look first at the absolute changes, meaning probability from after minus probability of before. And I introduced now a new measure during qualification. I only looked at the probability of qualifying. Now I want to look at the overall picture, because the teams are so different that for some winning it all is the most important. For some they just want to qualify, some want to go in the middle. So I said, well, let's add them all up and let's see how things go. And if we take this absolute way, we see that Austria comes out top, quite a little bit ahead of Romania, and then Switzerland, Wales, Poland. Those are probably the happiest one. Portugal also seems quite happy. Who are the losers in this with this metric? Well, we already said Spain got a tough draw. Italy could not really be happy. Sweden, Croatia, and the Czech Republic. Czech Republic, especially since they have Turkey in the group, where they're suddenly now not favored to make third place, but actually projected last place, as we'll see in a bit. Now, these are kind of the easiest ways to look at it, but on the other side, the absolute changes or the nominal changes are a little bit hard to interpret, because we see that Austria gains 0.04 in probability, but it needs to be set in relation to what was before. So because this change, if the underlying probability was 10%, is huge. If it was 50%, it's not that huge. So therefore I also looked at the relative changes. Very similar table as this one, just rearranged it, and then we look here overall at the average change, and we see Austria is not top anymore. Now it's Romania who really had a big boost, and we see actually in the latter stages, if you look before, there were most of the action was in the lower stages, because there is probably the most happening, because if everyone goes last, there already the probabilities are small. But now we see, if we look at relative, the action is happening later on, so not too many changes here, finishing among the worst third place teams, or even qualifying for the next round. But we can see overall Romania just has 26% increase in the chances of winning. Still, Romania has a small chance of winning, but you see how relative works. Then Iceland, Switzerland, Austria still rides high. Hungary also rides high. We see already here three Group F teams. The last one is Portugal, which is a little bit lower. The losers now: Sweden, Czech Republic, Ireland, Croatia, and Italy. Those are all in double digits. Speaking of double digits, I probably should add Poland here as the winners, which, given that they're playing Germany again, was a little bit surprising, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So we'll see here those 5 nations: Italy, Croatia, Ireland, Czech Republic, and Sweden are the ones that are not that happy with the draw. But overall, you see it's kind of around 20%, the maximum. Well, we have here for 25%, but the most negative ones here are actually Sweden. So it's not too, you see, it's kind of still evenish looking at the changes are not too severe. It's not as perfect as it probably was for the Asian Cup, but it's also not too severe. Now, most interesting probably is like how is the projected tournament going, and for that I actually updated my overview page. It now includes the final tournament, and it's interesting in the sense that for 6 group tournament it's not as straightforward who is playing whom, so it was also very interesting for me to see that. We see Group A: France, Switzerland, Romania, Albania. As we would expect, we have Group B: England, Russia, Wales, and Slovakia. Group C is Germany, Ukraine, Poland. Although I already said my rating doesn't like Ukraine, suddenly it likes Ukraine. Well, this will be interesting. Who will be the most will be the second place team in Northern Ireland. Then we have Group D: Spain, Croatia. We had that 4 years ago. Turkey and Czech Republic. Also there was some history, 2008. Then Belgium, Italy, Sweden, and Ireland. And then Portugal, Austria, Hungary, and Iceland. We also see the probabilities of qualifying here. And if we take now the 4 best third place teams, the one with the highest expected points total here, we see that Sweden and Hungary drop out, and it's Romania, Wales, Poland, and Turkey who qualify, which sets it up with this projected playoff 3 for now. I'll be curious how many of those will be true come June. Or maybe even July. I don't know now the dates by heart, but we'll see. We see Switzerland set up against Ukraine. That was in 2006 also at this stage, round 2 stage, a very boring game. Spain against Wales. England, Turkey. We have Portugal, Italy. That could be a very interesting matchup. We have Germany playing Romania. We have Belgium playing Croatia. Also some history there, I think. France, Poland, and Russia, Austria, which also has some history because Austria beat Russia twice in qualification. Which means then the quarterfinals, Switzerland, Spain, also not, we had that before a few times. Portugal, England is also a big matchup. Belgium, Germany was the 1980 final. That's also the neighboring duel. And then France against Austria, home nation, looking probably having a good draw there. Also note that the only teams from pot 2 that are made it are Austria and Switzerland, and we already saw they were kind of high up in the ladder. Projected semifinals are Spain versus England, with Spain being the winner, and France versus Germany, which is kind of a dream final, but the draw made it possible that those now meet beforehand, unless one of those goes in second place. And Spain, Germany, the 2008 final is for now the projected final based on all the rating systems that I include in my calculations. Well, I hope this was interesting to you. I'll be back with more analysis of the draw, that I get it out. And maybe we'll look at a few more things as well. But for now, just take it as it is. It's maybe interesting to see this playoff 3 because we now have a better grasp of the entire tournament. Well, up until later, bye-bye.